A soccer game is being watched by 4 high school students. They are overjoyed when Japan's team wins the game. They eat at a ramen shop after watching. Yatora goes to the restroom to change his clothes. On his way, he notices a Picasso poster at the front door. He wonders what makes Picasso, an art competition, so special. Yatora is a straight-A student. Before leaving for school, he encourages the others to attend so they do not fail. Yatora's friends are puzzled as to how Yatora gets high test scores while still playing around. Yatora simply states that he is a hard-working student. While discussing the upcoming career evaluation in the hallway, a tall yellow-haired girl runs past them. Yatora is fascinated with her. Yatora's friend is babbling about painting his head buried in a girl's big chest and how surprised their art teacher would be. Their teacher simply makes fun of it. When Yatora returns home, his mother inquires about his day with his friends. He discovers a reviewer from his mother in his bed and decides to study it. Yatora prioritizes maintaining positive relationships with others while maintaining high grades. He's not a genius, so the praise feels hollow to him. He reaches into his pocket for his cigarette, but realizes he left it in the art class. He is captivated by the beauty of a large painting inside the art room as he opens the door. He thinks it's fantastic and tries to touch it, but he is stopped by the girl with yellow hair. The girl tells him about the art club's schedule and asks if he wants to get the cigarettes she found. The girl informs him that he is a social smoker and that he should stop destroying his health for the sake of friendship. Yatora is insulted and responds by insulting the girl named Ryuji for the way she dresses. He also keeps calling her Ryuji, which irritates her. He advises Ryuji against attending art school. He informs her that the tuition is expensive and that there is no future in it. He suggests that she should simply use her attractive appearance to attract a wealthy man. Ryuji becomes enraged and prepares to fight, but the art teacher intervenes. The art teacher informs Yatora that only private schools are costly. Tuition at Tokyo University of the Arts is only 500,000 yen per year. Yatora is surprised and apologizes for being impolite. He's baffled as to how they can do what they want without making money. The art teacher informs him that art professionals are obsessed with money, and Picasso makes a lot of money from his work. She also informs Yatora that he is overly concerned with what others think, despite the fact that he has yet to begin his My Favorite Place scenery. Art is created by people who are true to themselves, and art is a language without words. Yatora believes the opposite. While watching the soccer finals, he acknowledges artists to be freaks who play with talent. That is his own problem. But as the team wins, he realizes that the joy they are experiencing is supposedly for the team only. Yatora is smoking while standing in front of Pablo Picasso exhibition posters. His friend is vomiting from intoxication. As he assists his friends, he remarks that Shibuya is pleasant in the morning. When his friend laughs at him for pretending to be poetic, it dawns on Yatora. Yatora assists Mori from the art department in carrying her art materials up the art room floor early in the morning at school. When he discovers that the lovely painting is hers, he inquires as to why the skin in the painting is green. Mori explains it thoroughly, which astounds him. Mori dislikes being called a talent for her hard work, because it implies that she did not put forth any effort. Yatora describes his thoughts on Shibuya in the morning, when it is quiet and blue. Mori tells him that a teacher once told her that if something is blue to a person, it should be blue whether it's an apple or a rabbit. Yatora is inspired by it, so he tries to layer colors like Mori and paints from the heart. It is frightening for him to express his preferences. Because it is so blue, Yatora's friends are mystified as to what his painting is. But Ryuji compliments it on its beauty, but retracts her compliment when she sees who it belongs to. Yatora's friends tease him, but they realize that his painting depicts Shibuya in the morning. It has an emotional impact on Yatora. It's his first real conversation with others. Ryuji sends him a message after class, asking for his assistance. While Yatora is removing their paintings from the wall, Ryuji and Mori are discussing the colleges they want to attend. The art teacher praises Yatora's painting and the techniques he employed. She invites Yatora to paint with them after they finish cleaning, but he declines, claiming that he needs to get home early to study. He is pleased to receive a compliment on his painting. After dinner, Yatora's mother informs him that they cannot afford a private school for him in college. Yatora becomes so engrossed in his drawing that the rising sun surprises him. He considers it a waste of time, but he can't stop drawing the scenery outside his window. Teacher Siki, the art teacher, sees his drawings. She is very pleased with his drawings, and shows him techniques for improving them. Yatora asks Teacher Siki why to go to art school if there is no guarantee that there is a job to get. Teacher Siki explains it thoroughly, but informs him that not all great artworks are created by people with art degrees. That adult would advise you to keep your passion as a hobby. Children who do not give their all, according to her, lack passion. It is natural to pursue your passion with everything you have. When Yatora asks Teacher Siki if he can get into art school, she tells him that no one can stop a hard worker from doing what he wants. Yatora states that he will fill out a club entry form in the morning, and does not want to waste time when he has made his decision. His only option is Tokyo University of the Arts. Teacher Siki warns him that Tua's painting department has the lowest acceptance rate for freshmen. It is not uncommon to fail 3 or 4 times, but Yatora's spirit is unstoppable. He has felt alive since he painted that blue painting. On episode 2, Ryuji is listening in on Yatora and teacher Siki's conversation. She is surprised that Yatora wishes to attend art school. Yatora's homeroom teacher questions why he wants to join the art club. The teacher tells him that his parents should know, which bothers Yatora, but he remembers that he needs to get into a low-cost school. Teacher Siki steps in and invites Yatora to the art club meeting. Yatora introduces himself at the meeting. The other members of the club are terrified and baffled as to why a badass is present. Teacher Siki assigns work for the entire summer to the first and second years. She thoroughly explains each step so that the students can do it correctly the first time. Teacher Siki hands Yatora the tools he needs as they begin the Dessin drawing. He laughs because the tip of the pencils is so long, but Teacher Siki assures him that it will make drawing different expressions easier. One of the students inquires as to the purpose of learning Dessin. Teacher Siki explains that it is beneficial to training. Mori's concentration is so intense that Yatora notices it. Teacher Siki shows Yatora how to draw better and what details he should remember. Yatora is in the bathtub, contemplating what transpired during the evaluation of their drawings. Teacher Siki is only being nice to Yatora because he thinks his drawing is the worst. He believes he is being treated differently. Because Yatora's body hurts, he falls asleep quickly. His mother enters his room and notices his application and wonders why. Ryuji enters the art room and is surprised to see Yatora practicing drawing with Teacher Siki. She is surprised to learn that Yatora wishes to attend Tokyo University and that he is practicing drawing even though it is already a break. Prior to beginning to draw, Yatora believed that arts were a special magic that only the gifted could perform. He's been able to see things clearly around him since he began drawing. Yatora continues to complete their assigned summer work. Yatora is amazed at how easily he can now use the paintbrush and how his mind and hands work together. Yatora is considering how he will persuade his parents to send him to art school. Yatora's mother enters his room late at night and discovers him sleeping in his desk. She sees all of Yatora's lovely paintings and declares that he is very serious about art school. Yatora finished his summer projects and they praised him for improving his Dessin drawing skills. He created 1 drawing per day, which surprised the other art club members. They changed their perceptions of him. Mori responds to Yatora's compliment by stating that she is 5th from the bottom in her summer class. It makes Yatora feel bad about himself. Mori is extremely talented, but she was still ranked so low. Yatora reminds himself to be pleased with how he improved during the summer vacation. It's Mori's admissions day, and everyone in the art club room is nervous. Teacher Siki arrives and invites them to the winter cram school, which Mori attended in the summer. Yatora refuses to participate because he is not yet ready to tell his parents. Ryuji joins as a specialist in Japanese art. Mori arrives to inform them that her mother has invited them to a celebration to celebrate her acceptance into the program. This motivates Yatora to enroll in the winter cram school for oil painting. Yatora is having difficulty getting his parents to sign the form for winter cram school. He informs Ryuji of the situation. His mother expresses his dissatisfaction with Yatora working as an artist for a living and gives him a pamphlet about the culture center. Yatora tries unsuccessfully to persuade his mother. Mori, who is depressed, comes across Yatora in the art room. She's going through her belongings in the art room. Mori is asked by Yatora how she told her parents she was going to art school. Mori tells him that she has loved drawing since she was a child and that her parents expected it. Mori requests that Yatora draws for her in exchange for her drawing. She likes Yatora's drawing and wants a small souvenir for her graduation. She did not expect Yatora to join the art club because she is shady and exudes the aura of a delinquent. She gives Yatora a drawing of the goddess of wisdom, battle, and victory, Nike. She tells Yatora that she believes in him and wishes him well. This gives Yatora the confidence to confront his mother. Yatora gives his mother a drawing of her mother doing the dishes. He explains that by drawing, he can easily express what he wants to say. He also tells his mother that when he began drawing, he began to notice things around him. How his mother makes daily sacrifices for them and prioritizes them over herself. He also states that, despite his lack of talent, he wishes to improve and devote his life to drawing right now, and how he needs her help to get there. When Yatora confesses, his mother becomes emotional. He wants her to have faith in him. He begs his mother while crying. While crying, she thanks him for the drawing. Mori's graduation is today. The art club congratulates her on her achievement. Yatora appears and gives Mori the drawing she requested. He drew a scene in the art room while Mori was painting. Mori sheds tears of joy while thanking Yatora for the drawing. Ryuji invites Teacher Siki for a group photo. On episode 3, Ryuji and Yatora arrive at the winter cram school. Yatora notices that the atmosphere differs from that of the art club. He also notices that some of the attendees are sketching for the first time. When one of the participants can't find his eraser, Yatora offers his, but is turned down. Yatora is mystified by everything, including his pencil-holding technique. Yatora measures the statue and begins to draw, but is interrupted by the instructor's words. He stands up to look at his drawing, and a girl next to him bumps into him while doing the same thing. When the drawing is evaluated, both Yatora and Ryuji are disappointed. He notices the drawing of the girl who bumped into him and thinks her strategy is brilliant. Takahashi, the strange guy, aligns his drawing with the others. Yatora is taken aback, but Ryuji is astounded as well. Takahashi is drawing for the first time, but it is the best drawing. Ryuji and Yatora discuss Takahashi's talent on their way to the train station. Yatora claims that he thought he had grown a lot, but it turns out that he is just a normal guy. Ryuji tells him that even if he is frustrated, he can still learn a lot. Yatora regrets not being good at it. While waiting for the train, Yatora notices Takahashi standing beside him. He greets and praises him, but it appears that Takahashi is uninterested about being the best. He believes Takahashi is a genius and that Yatora can only improve if he works hard. Yatora apologizes for interrupting him and bids him farewell, surprised when Takahashi mentions his name. Yatora believes that if he gets closer to someone who is a genius, no one will be able to tell. The next day arrives, and Yatora is now placed in an oil painting class. He notices a pretty girl, a guy with pigtails, a guy with a bowl cut, and Takahashi. Uba, their instructor, arrives and introduces herself. In the meeting room, she will interview them one by one, with each of their paintings. Yatora gets turpentine in his shoes, and goes to the restroom to clean them. He notices Ryuji outside the restroom, asking a man named Sasaki out on a date. Yatora is uneasy with Sasaki's demeanor around people. Some of the female students notice Yatora's attractiveness. Uba, the instructor, calls out Yatora's name. Inside the meeting room, Yatora expresses his desire to attend the Tokyo University of Arts, but instructor Uba informs him that the standard is too high for him. She shows him a painting that was accepted at TUA and how TUA values the student's outlook and personality. She compliments Yatora's painting, but points out that it is too simple. The most important thing is to develop your own drawing style. She also suggests that he learn to draw compositions that Yatora is unaware of. She claims that everyone began by imitating others. If you keep the expression the same, it will just be a regular copy. He should go to a museum and look at different paintings to figure out what he likes. When their paintings are displayed, Yatora realizes that he drew them randomly and without much thought. He sees Hashida's drawing and realizes what composition is. Yatora gets a free museum admission ticket. He dislikes looking at other people's work. Takahashi gets one as well, and Yatora invites him to accompany him. Takahashi is about to decline, but Hashida invites himself in, making Takahashi unable to decline. Takahashi and Hashida are Yatora's classmates. They are both frequent visitors to the museum. Hashida likes paintings of food. It's like extravagant dishes. They don't taste all that great at first, but once you learn where they came from, the food becomes delicious. Even if it is completely worthless, if it is made by someone you care about, you will treasure it. Yatora tells him that knowing the meaning of the painting is not the same as feeling it, but Hashida simply asks him if it matters how he feels about art. He tells Yatora that if he sees a painting as a buyer rather than an artist, he will be more drawn to it. Yatora is taken aback by a painting of a ballet class. He recognizes that not every painting is noble and majestic. Yatora notices Sasaki hugging a distraught Ryuji. He seeks information from Ryuji. Ryuji requests a cigarette, and Yatora surmises that Sasaki refused him because he is a transgender man in the past. Ryuji sobs as she tells him that Sasaki kindly tells her that she is normal and hugs her for the last time. She claims that if she dresses as a woman, the girls feel more at ease being friends with her, and wonders if it is wrong to want to be liked by a man, if she is only protected by her liking. Yatora regrets not being able to console Ryuji. However, as the elevator door opens, he notices Ryuji flirting with a muscular man, which irritates him. Instructor Uba still does not understand his painting while evaluating it. Despite the fact that Yatora's mind is moving with a painting of a ballet class, he still doesn't know what he likes. Yatora apologizes for what happened the day before during their break time. Hashida only makes fun of Ryuji. Takahashi asks how they can be carefree despite the fact that they will be ranked in the summer class. Yatora is taken aback to learn about it. Kuwana's sister, who is in high school, won first place in oil painting a few years ago. Kuwana's entire family went to the Tokyo University of the Arts. He recalls Mori being ranked 5th from the bottom and concluding that he must be ranked last. He does not want that, so he attempts to imitate a painting and make it his own. In the end, instructor Uba tells him that he is improving, but something is still missing. Yatora is contemplating what he is missing, what he does not understand. What does he need to learn to perfect his painting? Kuwana's painting certainly does draw attention. At the end of the class, Yatora asks Takahashi what is the difference between his painting and the reference sample. Takahashi quickly realizes that he is imitating the work of contemporary artist Makita Tamana, even if it is only the top layer of a high-level painting. Takahashi claims that Yatora has no idea what a painting's essence is. On episode 4, Takahashi claims that Yatora is completely oblivious to the point. When Yatora narrates it to her, instructor Uba laughs. Yatora inquires as to why his versions are so superficial. Instructor Uba explains to him that a great composition must have an overarching flow, fit the theme, focus your attention on the key elements, and make the viewer look at every inch of the canvas. She explains everything so thoroughly that Yadora memorizes it. Great arts appear simple at first glance, but they are all meticulous and calculated. She tells him that making replicas will teach him a lot. Yadora begins to create a replica. He initially thinks it's just a bunch of trees and flowers, but as he adds more colors, he realizes what the various flower colors are for. Hashida explained that the gaze direction leads the viewer to the direction that the artist wants them to see. Yadora now understands the significance of the final two elements of a great composition. When the summer class ranking day arrives, Yadora greets Hashida and Takahashi. Yadora is in Kiwana's class with instructor Uba. Takahashi is in Matsuo's class, while Hashida is with Sasaki. Yadora is nervous about the morning class's joint session. They are at class in the afternoon. Kiwana collides with Yadora as he opens the door to the room. They realize that they have upset the other students inside and apologize. Yadora believes that the students from the morning session are frightening. According to instructor Uba, everyone will create 5 pieces of art over the course of 10 days. It will be entered into the open competition and judged by all of the oil painting instructors. As they begin, Yadora is cheering himself up so that he can create good art without ruining it. Yadora is about to start painting when he notices the guy next to him cutting the canvas while the other girl uses a large green tape. The other guy uses a roller brush, while the other uses his hands. Yadora is surprised to see them using something other than a paintbrush. Kiwana invites him to join her for lunch. Kiwana is so hungry and tired that she eats a large burger. Yadora is perplexed as to why she invites him to lunch, but he prefers it to eat alone. Yadora says that he assumed she was snobbish. He simply assumed that everyone who is good at drawing is extremely strict. He is relieved that Kiwana believes the high school graduates are frightening. Kiwana claims that cutting the canvas is one way to gain an edge, which surprises him. He discovers a new way to create art. He assumed that oil painting was only about oil and paint, but for the graduates, anything and everything can be used in art. He decides to go wild, just like the others. The day of evaluation arrives. Yadora believes he will be graded in the lowest rank and does not expect anything else. The arts are organized by score, beginning with the top shelf at the entrance. Yadora is taken aback that his work is on the top shelf. It exceeded his expectations. Yadora is impressed that Kiwana has won first place, but Kiwana is dissatisfied, because the first place winner always fails the exam. Yadora is intrigued by it, but no one knows why. Yadora is the highest of the 3, along with Takahashi and Hashida. Takahashi does not want to celebrate with the 2 of them. He plans to drop out of cram school. He criticizes exam art, claiming that it is merely exam preparation rather than art, even as students are aware. It makes Yadora question the value of cram school. Yadora is at a loss for what to believe in right now. Takahashi hasn't shown up for cram school since then. Yadora is sketching something in their school's art club, when teacher Siki arrives and notices that Yadora's drawing is in disarray, and asks him what is wrong. Yadora discusses exam art with teacher Siki. She tells him that it is still his art in the end, but Yadora is still perplexed and unsure of what to do. Teacher Siki advises him to pay a visit to Tua while they are hosting a cultural festival with arts on display. No one wants to come, so Yadora invites his friends. They are astounded by the booths on Tua's campus. They consume coffee and soda. They're having a great time because Yadora gets high when he drinks coffee. As a result, Yadora pukes. While seated on a bench, Takahashi's mother approaches him in the form of an elderly lady. Takahashi's mother learns that they are friends and asks him to accompany Takahashi on a walk around campus because she is tired of walking. They both believe that there isn't much art to see inside. Except for the duck statue, Yadora believes that the works are all self-centered. Yadora is glad he came, because he learned something from the arts created by students his age, which caused Takahashi to realize something. He bids Takahashi farewell. Takahashi cuts him off by saying he doesn't like Yadora and that he doesn't even have to choose art as his future. It enraged Yadora, who tells Takahashi that, like him, Yadora is devoted to art. He wishes to say more, but his friends arrive. Takahashi's words caused him to cry. Takahashi can say that because he believes his art is not compelling. Yadora realizes that he can't do anyone else's art, and no one can do his. He pours his heart and soul into his painting. He sobs as he paints. He shows it to instructor Uba, who is astounded by how she can feel all of the emotions depicted in the painting. Yadora mentions exam art to instructor Uba, which is against the rules. She explains that it's the same cheap tricks that cram schools used in the past. They no longer work, and it is much more difficult now. Yadora wonders why his art is rated higher than the talented ones. She explains that it is because it is a good art, that his expression, point of view, and passion were all well defined. Art will be mediocre without it. That is the benefit of being a first-time applicant. Trial and error. Takahashi arrives to pick up his belongings as Yadora departs. When instructor Uba mentions Yadora, she notices that Takahashi is conscious of him. She complains about her job, and it goes on to say that even if you know what you want, you must figure out how to get there on your own. She is eager to see how much her students have changed in the next 120 days. On episode 5, in preparation for the upcoming exam, their cram class is divided into 5 groups. Yadora, Hashida, and Kiwana are classmates in Class D. Yadora recalls Takahashi and what Takahashi told him. Uba, the instructor, is in charge of their class. She displays the upcoming exam schedule to the entire class. She wishes for everyone to learn adaptability through their arts. Yadora is working hard to improve his skills, but now he must prepare for the actual exam. Their first activity is to draw something meaningful to them with no specific motif. Yadora understands that art isn't just about what you see. Yadora is having difficulty deciding what to paint. He finds it easy to draw what he sees, but he has no idea how to draw what he cannot see. If that is an actual exam, Yadora must stop thinking negatively because he will fail. He begins to seriously consider what he will draw. Yadora recalls Mori, who inspired him to begin drawing. Teacher Siki is the reason he joined the art club, and it would not have happened if Ryuji had not invited him to assist. His friends for their encouragement in the art club for welcoming him. Kiwana, Hashida, and instructor Uba have also been there for him. He considers the connections and bonds of those around him. String serves as the motif for his painting. Instructor Uba evaluates his painting and believes he is not adapting sufficiently to the assigned activity. A good piece of art expresses the artist's thoughts clearly. She asks Yadora if string is a symbol of bonding for him, and he agrees. She says it's fine as long as it's for him and moves on to the next subject. Yadora is still struggling to think of the next topic, which is another abstract theme. He continues to think about the title he will draw. His imagined art is always cool, but every time he strokes his brush, it gets worse. While teacher is calling Ryuji, Yadora opens the door to the art club, but sad Ryuji bumps into him. He questions teacher Siki, but she refuses to answer. Yadora is concerned about Ryuji's situation. Mori had visited the day before, according to teacher Siki. Yadora expresses his admiration for Mori's angel painting. It's an F100 canvas. He claims that drawing an F100 canvas will be impossible, because he can barely draw an F15. Teacher Siki instructs him to try to draw one in, but Yadora declines. Their next topic is a concrete one that makes Yadora happy. He can finally draw something he sees. He selects the clock as his centerpiece. He feels the brush is too heavy for him to lift his arm properly while painting. He slaps his face in order to focus and complete his artwork. He runs into Kiwana again as they both measure their art from afar. He notices Kiwana's painting and, once again, he feels as if he is being sucked inside the painting. He'd felt it before, in Mori's angel painting and Kiwana's statue drawing, but it's not reflected in his drawings. He recalls teacher Siki telling him that he has done well in learning new skills and techniques, but he's not very good for him. Takahashi also told him that he was missing the point. Yadora's mind is a jumbled mess. He wants to figure out what he is missing. He chooses to create art on F100 canvas. He has difficulty setting up the canvas because it is too heavy. He's hoping it'll help him trigger something, but looking at it, he just thinks he'll mess up his drawing. Teacher Siki pokes him and tells him that there is no such thing as failure in art, which Yadora disagrees with because he believes he always fails. She asks Yadora whether it is due to the evaluation or because he is dissatisfied with his work. She reminds him of how he painted the blue building and tells him to show them what he wants to say while putting failure aside. Yadora mulls over the symbol of bond for him. He still can't figure it out. For him, it varies depending on the situation. Ryuji's father is knocking on her door because she has been missing crammed school classes. She responds by saying she'll get a job and pay for the expenses he paid, which irritates her father. Her grandmother arrives at her door with delicious oranges, and a message from Mori appears on her phone, inviting her to Mori's school. Yadora is driving to the art club. He still can't figure out what he wants to draw, but he needs to get it done because it will take him forever if he keeps trying. He discovers a sad Ryuji inside the art club room, which surprises him. He offers to get the trash can ready for her if she requires it. It is preferable for him not to inquire about the problem. Ryuji feels better as a result of this. She can't believe Yadora decided to draw an F100 canvas so close to exam time. Ryuji invites Yadora to accompany her to Mori's school. Mori's paintings have piqued Yadora's interest. Ryuji admits when they get off the train that she doesn't want to go home, and instead wants to walk around by herself. So Yadora will go to Mori's school by himself, which surprises Yadora. He is once again taken aback by Mori's paintings as he enters the room where she is working. However, he is perplexed by the Buddhism painting because he was expecting an angel painting. He recalls Mori telling him that she always depicts praying in her paintings. Yadora comes to terms with his situation, that he is so preoccupied with the composition that he is painting the tool rather than the message of his painting. In the train station, Yadora meets Ryuji. He did not have the opportunity to meet with Mori, but he promises to return. Mori's painting inspires Yadora once more. He begins drawing on the F100 canvas. He figured out what his bond is, a metal. He poured all of his feelings into it. One of the members of the art club is blown away by his painting. Teacher Siki compliments him and is pleased with his progress. Yadora shows it to instructor Uba, who is overjoyed because Yadora did exactly what she wanted him to do in his painting. Yadora can't believe he made such good art. He realized that a composition is merely a tool, not the theme itself, and the painting should be an expression of his thoughts. Instructor Uba compliments him on his next paintings, which makes him very happy. The day of the competition arrives, and the topic is eating. Yadora unwinds and collects all of his thoughts about painting. He creates a replica of his metal painting. He expects it to be higher than his previous placement, but it ends up third from the bottom. Yadora informs Instructor Uba of the situation, and she tells him that it's not new because he just mimicked it, and she's disappointed because she thought he'd improved. What happened has hurt Yadora. His mother is arguing with someone at home. Yadora is in his room, reflecting on how, despite doing what he enjoys, it is not always enjoyable. He is sulking when Takahashi calls and asks if he is available tonight, which surprises him. On episode 6, Yadora is perplexed as to why Takahashi is calling him. The phone call ends as soon as he tells him he's not doing anything. Takahashi's mother asks him what Yadora says, but Takahashi responds that Yadora is busy, even though he is not. Takahashi, Yadora concludes, is playing a joke on him. He considers what he did while painting the competition piece and realizes that he did it while being self-centered. He slaps himself because he is ashamed of what he did. Yadora recognizes that he is not a genius, but he will do his best to come close. Instructor Uba announces a winter break and assigns them 5 paintings to complete before classes resume. It's too much for the others, but not for Yadora. He wishes to add 10 more, which Instructor Uba readily agrees to. To celebrate Christmas, she gives them all a slice of strawberry shortcake, which makes everyone happy. But she surprises them with a note instructing them to draw the cake with charcoal. Kuwana asks Yadora if he doesn't like sweets, because he is just looking at them. Yadora informs her that he is observing the cake, its textures, and the entire cake itself. Kuwana praises him for his diligence. He desires a weapon he can call his own, which Instructor Uba agrees to. Yadora wishes to use different colors, but Instructor Uba tells him that it is too difficult, and that he should first focus on not using colors. She instructs him to try out various tools. She demonstrates and informs him that the canvas is 3-dimensional. He can broaden his ways of expressing himself by changing his tools, and he receives additional assignments that he requested. Yadora experiments with various tools and is amazed at how they can improve his art. His friends are calling him to celebrate the new year with him, but he is not answering the phone. He calls them back and informs them that he will be late. They had no idea Yadora was with Takahashi. Takahashi requested him to accompany him on New Year's Eve. He didn't expect Yadora to show up. He apologizes for his previous call. He expresses that his mother advised him to spend New Year's Eve with his friends, but he claims that he does not have any. His mother regrets raising him incorrectly, so she instructed him to contact Yadora. Yadora tells him that Takahashi is welcome to call him because they are friends, but Takahashi declines and refuses to tell him why. Yadora enjoys being with him because he gets to know him better. He admits to Takahashi that he would like to be his friend if he wasn't doing art, and that he despises him so much that it makes him sick. Takahashi is taken aback, but Yadora simply greets him and apologizes for upsetting his mood. Takahashi expresses his irritation every time he sees Yadora, which makes Yadora very happy. He prays that he will excel at art. Yadora is running late for their first day of class. The entire class is taken aback when he walks in with so many drawings in his hands. Instructor Uba is overjoyed with his drawings and shows him the best one. Yadora realizes that he is limiting his previous arts in some way, and he discovers that drawing with different tools is simple. Instructor Uba reminds him that their classes are only a month and a half away, and encourages him to do his best. In Kuwana's house, her sister stirs her up to remind her about the national exam the next day. She is attempting to cheer up Kuwana, but Kuwana is not pleased. Yadora is walking down the street with a friend when he notices Kuwana and his friends. They exchange greetings. Everyone at cram school is stressed. The sessions were increased from 4 to 12 hours per day. Yadora realizes that using various tools adds a variety of colors to his drawings and even his oil paintings. Instructor Uba declares that beginning today, they will concentrate on drawing 2 Dessin works per day, and will concentrate on oil painting for the next 10 days before the exam. She instructs Yadora to photograph his favorite painting in black and white. A good piece of art will look good with or without colors. It will also help them improve their drawing and painting skills. Yadora believes that concentrating on Dessin art is risky. The basic requirement for Tokyo University of Arts is Dessin art. In comparison to them, every high school graduate is gifted. Yadora encourages himself to concentrate on their activity. While observing an oil painting in his Dessin drawing, Yadora notices that the oil painting is by Kuwana. Kuwana arrives and informs him that it belongs to her sister. He says that Kuwana's sister won first place in her first attempt. She resembles her sister in some ways. She compliments Yadora on her talent and wishes for Yadora to be the one who improves. They notice one of the retakers sobbing outside. Kuwana says it's refreshing to watch the depressed one because it means she still has hope. but she quickly retracts her statement. Yadora gets her point across. Instructor Uba shouts for Yadora, so he bids Kuwana farewell. Yadora narrates that he compares his work to that of previous examiners and aspires to do better. Instructor Uba encourages him to do better and provides him with a sketchpad on which to create various compositions using only circles and triangles. The first 10 should be smooth, but after that, he should draw something he doesn't normally draw. It is acceptable for him to compare his work to that of others, but doing so excessively can be dangerous. His ambition should be to produce his own masterpiece. The black-haired girl from the exam is in the hospital due to a lack of sleep and food. Kuwana vents his frustrations to Yadora, who tells her that he never considers her work to be her sister's work. He believes Kuwana's work is more transparent. Kuwana is taken aback by this. Kuwana always compares herself to her sister, according to Instructor Uba, and Kuwana's opponent is not her sister. It is not easy to pursue art. Kuwana expresses gratitude to Yadora for making her realize something. Everyone is going insane because of the upcoming exam. The scene begins with Instructor Uba of the cram school's oil painting session sitting at their dining table, looking at the compiled profiles of her students, evaluating them one by one, from their weaknesses to their strengths, because the examination at Tokyo University of Arts is only 1 week away. Yadora Yaguchi displays the rashes on his arm to his classmates. They advise him to get checked out, because it could be a serious illness, but Yadora declines because his uncle had the same problem and it was simple. Yumino, an art club member, has been accepted to Osaka University of Arts, and he reminds Yadora to clean up his mess in the art club room. Yadora's homeroom teacher makes fun of him for applying to art school, and Yadora simply retorts jokingly. Finally, they have 1 week until their entrance exam at Tokyo University of Arts. Yadora, Kuwana, and another female classmate are beginning to complete their assigned work for the day when Instructor Uba approaches Yadora for a one-on-one meeting. Inside the meeting room, Instructor Uba tells Yadora bluntly that he lacks adaptability, and that Yadora is extremely studious. However, being obedient is only beneficial when the teacher or parents prefer it. Instructor Uba comes up with a better word to describe what Yadora lacks: self-centeredness. But Yadora still doesn't get it, so Instructor Uba explains that he needs to have fun while practicing his art. If he does not overcome it, he may fail the exam. Hashida was accepted to Tama Art University, and he still wishes to take the TUA examination in order to view the artworks of various people throughout Japan. Yadora has a hard time having fun while drawing, so he ends up ignoring their assigned topic and drawing a flower instead of a bird. He sits down and looks at his canvas, reminding himself that all he needs to do is have fun. He is used in faking confidence because confident people draw attention. The terrifying thing about art is that you can't fake it. Everyone can see right through it. He recalls Yumino telling him to clean up his mess in the art club room. Teacher Siki, the art club advisor, inquires about the upcoming exam in 3 days, and Yadora responds that he simply needs to have fun. Teacher Siki recognizes the sketchbook Yadora is holding. It was his sketchbook in the 2nd year. By simply looking at the sketchbook, Teacher Siki can tell that Yadora is having fun drawing it. Yadora realizes that even beginners can have a good time. Koi, his tall and muscular friend, appears outside the cram school to meet him and eat ramen. Koi admits to Yadora that he decided to attend pastry school, which surprises him greatly. He gave up because the costs were too high. But seeing Yadora do what he enjoys inspired Koi to do the same. Hearing this, Yadora realizes that they are still in high school, and that making mistakes, failing, and struggling is normal. He expresses his frustration to Koi about how difficult it is for him to have genuine fun while drawing and painting, as he has in the past. Koi tells him what they've noticed about him and how he interacts with them. His self-centeredness is reflected in his hard work. They are overjoyed when Yadora chooses art school, because he has finally prioritized what he wants. But he is afraid that if he does his best and has a good time and then gets rejected, he will be unable to get back on his feet. Koi advises him to use his conversational skill, which he is good at, to speak up for what he thinks in order to win over others. They say their goodbyes with the motivation and strength that Yadora needs. Yadora is full of motivation the next day at cram school, which surprises Instructor Uba. With 2 days until the exam, Yadora continues to practice what he needs to improve, which pleases Instructor Uba. Finally, a day before the exam, Instructor Uba discusses what should be prepared for the examination rules. Collage, powder, and water may be prohibited, and they may only be able to use pencils and charcoal. Yadora questions Instructor Uba about why she has them experiment with tools if they aren't allowed to use them in the exam, because it is critical to understand that there are numerous ways to express oneself. In other words, they are only prohibited because water and powder can interrupt other people's work, and as long as you don't cause any problems, you won't be kicked out. TUA, or Tokyo University of the Arts, doesn't care what you use as long as you create good art. As a result, others cheated in order to pass and be accepted. The TUA entrance exam is all about your ability to express yourself. Yadora scratches his rashes while sleeping late at night. Finally, the exam day has arrived. The train comes to a stop with Yadora inside. He sees Ryuji walking outside the train, but when he exits, Ryuji is gone, leading him to believe that it was all in his head. He cheers himself up as he walks through Tokyo University of Arts with the other students who will be taking the exam. When Yadora sees Takahashi Yatasuke, his former crammed school classmate and frenemy, he greets and cheers him up. As they walk up the stairs to their respective floors and rooms, Yadora wishes him luck. Yadora observes everyone around him as he sits down and prepares his belongings. The exam instructor assigns them a topic. Collage, powder, and water are prohibited, as instructed by Instructor Uba. Their topic is to draw a self-portrait in dessin, and Yadora thinks it is easier than he expected. He only has one chance, whether he passes or fails, and he reminds himself to have fun and nothing else. When the exam begins, Ryuji draws a big X on her canvas and walks out of the room. On episode 8, we'll see Ryuji's canvas with a big X sign on it at the start of the episode. When his instructor catches up with him, he simply insults him. Yadora looks at his reflection in the mirror provided for each of them on the other floor and room. Yadora meticulously summarizes everything in his mind. Many artists created self-portraits in which they appear to be frozen in time. In other words, examinees must perceive themselves right now. They have 5 hours to complete their portraits, and Yadora must create something that will stand out among the others outside the room. He decides to draw 2 versions of himself, one inside the mirror and one outside, and experiment with different ways to draw them based on how he feels and what he wants to say. The girl in front of him stands up to look at her drawing from a distance, but she accidentally bumps into Yadora's canvas and mirror. She fails to save the mirror, and it crashes to the ground in pieces. While the instructor contacted someone to bring another mirror, Yadora panicked when he saw his broken mirror. But as he continued to look at it, he noticed the different reflections of his face and thought about the shattered composition. He quickly returns to his seat and begins drawing it. His instructor hands him his new mirror, and the instructor notices and appears to like his drawing. He uses masking tape to evenly darken the sides he wants to darken. This is not a violation because he is not using it for collage, and he simply rubs it because the powder is not permitted. He recalls teacher Siki's advice to give things more depth by lightening the shades around the curves, and he employs it to increase the complexity. Lunch arrives, and everyone sits at the sides of the corridor to eat, with no one speaking to anyone. The girl who broke his mirror abruptly apologizes, which surprises Yadora. Everyone, including Yadora, is silent because they are worried about how the exam will go. They've all returned to the exam room, and Yadora can feel his brain energizing and connecting to his hands. Yadora is eager to pass the exam, but whether he succeeds or fails, he just wants to complete his work. His finished art is exactly what he wanted, but he is unsure if it is good enough to pass. After the first exam, he meets Hashida and Yatasuke at the school grounds. Hashida extends an invitation to them to celebrate, but Yadora declines because he wants to go home and finally rest. Yatasuke discovered why Tokyo University of the Arts has a low passing rate on the exam. The examinees only want to compete in it. The second exam will be bloody because it will be an all-out brawl in which you will be tested on both your skills and your luck. Yadora dismisses this thought because he is still unsure whether he will pass or not. The next day, they are all in crammed school. They are exhausted, but they still need to attend the session right after the exam because the second exam is in 10 days. They can't concentrate on their sessions because their minds are on the upcoming result release, which is in 3 days. Instructor Uba announces a field trip to cheer them up and give them a day off. She explains that the second exam will be based on oil painting and will last 3 days, with a sketchbook of their drafts required. Unlike the first exam, which you could pass with just one approval from the professors, the second exam requires 2. Their one-on-one meeting has begun. Yadora shows Instructor Uba his sketchbook, which contains his first exam drafts, and he is confident that he did well on the exam. But Yadora is skeptical that he can achieve the same results in oil painting, because he practiced more dessin and began painting later than the others. He's also not very good at choosing the right colors and applying them correctly. Instructor Uba understands him and simplifies things for him. He knows he needs to improve but doesn't know where to begin. Yadora is the first to arrive at the museum, followed by the others. Uba, the instructor, hands them their tickets and reminds them not to take pictures. Inside, Yadora realizes, as he watches his classmates enjoy themselves inside the museum, that he cannot hold himself back indefinitely. He needs to breathe now and then in order to see things clearly. They all have a good time touring the museum, but Instructor Uba has a surprise for them. They will return to the museum for the second round after eating at a pizza parlor, but this time they must paint what attracts them the most inside. They must concentrate and consider the differences between their first and second rounds. Yadora, like everyone else, notices the things inside in a different way than the first time he visits. However, as the results of their paintings are displayed, Yadora is shocked to see that he was mistaken in believing that everyone sees art differently, leading him to believe that he got ahead of himself. Instructor Uber reminds everyone not to try to be different or mimic the people around them, and that by looking at other people's work, they can learn something new about themselves. The results will be available the following day at 10 a.m. either online or in the school bulletin. As Hashida and Yadora walk home from cram school, they discuss how they might not see each other again. But Yadora is confident that they will. He is both terrified of the outcome and unconcerned about it. The results are out early in the morning, and Yadora checks them online while Instructor Uba awaits the passers at cram school. Kuwana is the first survivor, followed by Hashida and, finally, Yadora. Yadora made it to the second round of examination.